are the tight ends you want to start in Week 14 to win your fantasy matchup? Well, SI's fantasy analyst Michael Fabiano is joining me now with that insight. Fabs, who are the playmakers that fantasy managers should look at to start this week?
Yeah, I like Eric Ebron. He has been targeted 29 times over the last 3 weeks. The Steelers are throwing the ball about 70% of the time over the last month. So this is obviously a pass-first offense. And the matchup this week is pretty good. Buffalo has allowed 7 touchdowns and nearly 16 fantasy points per game to that position. So Ebron is a very solid start. So is Noah Fant. Now, he's finished with 9+ fantasy points in 3 of his last 5 games playing with a true quarterback. Sorry about that, Kendall Hinton. He's also seen 5 or more targets in 3 straight games without Hinton under center. And he's got a good matchup this week as well. Carolina's defense has been very generous to tight ends, allowing nearly 14 fantasy points per game. So Noah Fant is a top 10 play this week.
All right, well, also on the stardom list is Hunter Henry and Dalton Schultz. But Fabs, let's talk about the tight ends fantasy managers should avoid this week.
Yeah, Austin Hooper's been a massive disappointment. I really thought he would put up better numbers without Odell Beckham Jr., and it just simply has not happened. He's averaged 5.5 fantasy points per game over the last month or so. He's really failed to produce a good stat line all season long. And when you look at the numbers, he did not fare well in his first matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, scoring just 3.5 fantasy points. So unless you're desperate, Hooper is better left to the bench, and so is Zach Ertz. I mean, he was the 4th tight end drafted in most leagues over the summer. Well, he's done really next to nothing from a statistical perspective. Came back from injury last week, 4 targets, 31 yards in a loss to the Packers. This week he's got a bad matchup against the New Orleans Saints, who have allowed just 1 tight end to score more than 3.3 fantasy points against them since week 5.
All right, well, fantasy managers should also steer clear of Jared Cook, who takes on the Eagles, and Trey Burton, who faces the Raiders. Fab's great insight, thank you. And you guys at home, for more insight and Sports Illustrated's award-winning weekly player rankings, make sure to get your membership to SI Fantasy Plus for just $14.99 a month.